You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, let's talk about what happened on Capitol Hill today. Speaker Nancy Pelosi, by the way, who is almost a year since we've been asking for her to come on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Hey, Pelosi, your staff, y'all, it don't take a year for you to find 10 minutes to come on the show. Not when Schumer's done it 5 times in a year, okay? So Nancy Pelosi has rejected Kevin McCarthy's appointments of 2 Republicans to the special committee to investigate what happened on January 6th. He says she's broken the House. How dare she? Well, Liz Cheney, Republican who used to be in the Republican leadership until they booted her out, well, let's just say she was like, Kevin McCarthy, you're trash. Listen to this.
I want to take a minute just to talk about the appointments to the January 6th Select Committee. The rhetoric that we have heard from the minority leader is disingenuous. The attack on this building on January 6th was the worst attack on this Capitol since 1814. It was an attack on our Constitution. We supported what would have been the very best option, which was a bipartisan independent commission. The minority leader opposed that. He lobbied against it in the Senate, and the Senate blocked it. The American people deserve to know what happened. The people who did this must be held accountable. There must be an investigation that is nonpartisan, that is sober, that is serious, that gets to the facts wherever they may lead. And at every opportunity, the minority leader has attempted to prevent the American people from understanding what happened, to block this investigation. Today, the Speaker objected to 2 Republican members. She accepted 3 others. She objected to 2, one of whom may well be a material witness to events that led to that day, that led to January 6th. The other, who disqualified himself by his comments in particular over the last 24 hours, demonstrating that he is not taking this seriously. He is not dealing with the facts of this investigation, but rather viewed it as a political platform. This investigation must go forward. The idea that anybody would be playing politics with an attack on the United States Capitol is despicable and is disgraceful. And I am absolutely dedicated and committed to making sure that this investigation holds those accountable who did this and ensures that it never happens again. And
She laid it out, Robert. You have McCarthy, she broke the house. Stop it. You appoint 2 people to the committee who, if you appoint Jim Jordan to anything, you're trying to blow it up.
Well, let's look at what Jim Jordan's role has been in government in the last 4 or 5 years, and even before he got to Congress. He covered up the abuse of wrestlers when he was a coach in Ohio. He covered up from President Trump during the first impeachment. He covered up for President Trump during the second impeachment. So the reason you put him on a committee isn't to find the truth, it's to obfuscate and it's to try to make a mockery of the committee. They want to do whataboutism. They want to make it about every single thing except for the fact that these crazy Republicans tried to overturn the United States government, overturn an election, and effectively end our democracy. And people think that's hyperbolic when you say that. But let's look at what would have happened if they had succeeded. What was the conscious object of what these people were trying to do? Their attempt was to disrupt a congressional proceeding, to stop the counting of electoral votes and the certification of the election, and prevent Joe Biden from taking office. That is treason. That is literally the definition of treason. So when they try to say these were just tourists, these were people walking around, it was just a normal event. Well, let's look in history. The Beerhau Putsch in Germany in 1933. Hitler attempted the exact same thing. They put him in jail, but it led to the rise of Nazism about 5 years later. Mussolini in Italy, they literally just walked into they stormed the legislature, stormed the prime minister's residence, and they just put Mussolini in charge of the country. That's what happens when people storm capitals like this. 1799 in France, Le coup d'état de 18 premiers au château de Saint-Cloud in 1799. Napoleon locked the entirety of the legislature inside of a building and then put his brother in charge. They dissolved the First French Republic and established the directory, dissolved the consulate, making him the directory, making him the first consulate. He then had a coup against Abbe de Sais, making him the emperor of France. It was literally a coup inside of a coup. So anytime we've seen this happen in history, it has never turned out well. So the idea of trying to torpedo this and try to have subterfuge means that they do not want to have a real hearing.
You took great delight in Robert's history lesson.
I couldn't repeat some of them words. You sounded good, brother, and there was nothing substance. You lost me with that French shit, but you sounded good.
At the point that he said the le coup d'état, I said, oh,
that's right, the le coup
d'état today. I'm so glad I know all these smart people. My God, he went trilingual on us. He went trilingual on us. Go ahead, Robert.
Go ahead.
We done with this topic. I dare somebody else to say something.
Too. Say it again.
Well, I think the entire point. The entire point is. The entire point is that when you have people who are out of power launching their crazy people to disrupt elections, it never turns out well. Because what happened after 1799, you had about 20 years of war with Napoleon as the emperor of France. What happened after Mussolini? What happened after Hitler? So we can either solve this the diplomatic and the investigatorial way. We can arrest these people, lock them up for some time, or we can pretend it never happened. And then when Trump loses again in 2024, y'all gonna be right at my house, loading up magazines and stuff, because these folks gonna get even crazier the next time.
Uh-oh, here we go. We'll have an 11 millimeter by then, won't we?
No, look, Scott, we moved on from that. We're at 6'5" Creedmoor now. Just built it this weekend. I'll show it to you one day.
All right now. But Roland, let me say this. Jim Jordan may be a material witness to this hearing, and I got to tell you.
That's right, Scott.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a material witness, so he can't serve on the committee.
Damn, Monique, you sound like Scott's hype man. It's like we're at a rap concert. Say it! Scott, go ahead.
He's a material witness, so he can't serve. But I got to tell you, if the committee does its work, and by the way, you don't want him on the committee to be disruptive and undermining the goals and objectives of this very important committee. Let's not forget why we had this committee, because you couldn't have a bipartisan commission because the Republicans didn't want it. But I got to tell you, the real challenge here for Pelosi and others is uncovering what really happened and what Republican elected officials that they work with, that they serve with, were part of this, whether they knew it or didn't know it, whether they were enablers, empowers, whether they were fist-raising and enabled these people, whether it was a conspiracy, public, private, or hidden. And that's really is what's going to come out of this committee work if they do their work. You cannot have Republicans who are material witnesses or those who do not want the truth to come out because they want to preserve power, they want Trump to reign, and they want to continue to feed this negative, unpatriotic narrative to their constituents in the name of patriotism, if you will. And so that denial has no place on this committee. And so it's not so much who gets on the committee. You know what it is? It's how this work plays out and how cooperative they can work together in getting to the truth. That's going to be an ongoing challenge for Pelosi and the chair of this commission.
I agree with my Haitian French brother. I agree with my distinguished legal colleague. There is also another reason why, obviously, Speaker Pelosi did not want him on here. Nobody wants all that non-blazer wearing, sweaty shirt having, rolled up sleeves with all that hollering. Nobody's trying, not with this important committee. Do that when your people put you on there to obfuscate and make a fool out of yourself and act like a low moron. Don't come with all that here. We don't need to see you sweating like that. We're not trying to be yelled at like that. And then you have no decorum. You don't wear a blazer. I mean, these are the things that matter so that we can have some good TV out of this, even if they can't save anything with the January 6th Inquisition. So obviously, there were multiple reasons, Scott's reasons, Robert's reasons, and mine, the enlightened ones, about why he couldn't be on. It wasn't his turn.
And look,
did she say that?
There's an easy way to take care of this, quite frankly. If Nancy Pelosi just says that all your Republicans have to be drug tested before the hearing, they will draw their own name.
You guys are fine.
They be coming up zeros. They be coming up
Couldn't
zeros.
get nobody on there.
Oh gosh.
I bet you marijuana would be legal federally real quick right then.
Oh no, they're going straight to crack. Jim Jordan's on a whole nother level.
We can't help with everything.
Yeah, that boy be intense.
Well,
no,
you're going to have to have some
large
gravitas.
pores. He has large pores.
Oh, stop it. But you're right about one thing. The gravitas for this commission, the seriousness of purpose is so important. And when you get Jim Jordan, you get a clown show. And that's what the Republicans like to see. It will undermine the seriousness. And that may not be the only reason, but that's also a very important reason, because the American public has to take this seriously. These hearings are going to be televised, and we're going to get to the truth, and it's going to lead right to the Republicans and undermine what they say is why they want to move on. We're going to get to the ugliness of American and Republican conspiracies. That's going to come, because nothing like this happens without the ugliness of conspiracy and the worst part of what they view as protecting democracy, and how these people really believe they were storming, for lack of a better word, they were storming the Bastille, Robert, if you will. And they deeply believed that. And they had purposeness too. That's not an accident. They were fed that.
No.
And they were trained in that regard, and they came with weapons and prepared to alter. And by the way, to alter the outcome of the proceeding. And by the way, it's against federal law too, by the way, not just against the Constitution.
Yes.
Trying to interrupt that proceeding to stop someone or stop the business of Congress is a federal offense. Let's not forget that, whether they were charged or not.
Just think about how gullible you have to be as a human being to think that the president who just lost his first election by 3 million votes and just let 500,000 people die on his watch, and then lost by 7 million votes, you can't get it through your head, the idea that he lost, and you think that it's actually been stolen from him. These people deep down legitimately believed that their whole election had been stolen from them, and that this is the only thing they could do to save their nation, despite 500,000 people being in the ground. This is a whole new type of politics we're dealing with, and people who are we'll say unreasonable at best.
It's a cult. It's a political cult, right? And these people travel around the world to hear Trump. Trump says the same thing over and over again. And I got to tell you, it is a cult-like following where
This is the Guyana tragedy. This is Jim Jones.
Exactly. They just drink the Kool-Aid. But the other thing that Roland says is that you can't talk logic or intellectual capacity here. These are just, you tell me what, they feed them this line, and then that's it. Facts don't matter. Law doesn't matter. That's what Trump told me. That's what Jim Jordan told me, and I'm going with it blindly. And it's the more ignorance. It's not dumb. It's just the ignorance of those parts of America, and the suffering that they're in. Remember, many of them voted for Obama, but now it's gotten worse in the sense that their life themselves, whether it's economically, socially, racially, what have you, is in such despair because their life doesn't match up with the white privilege and the white privilege messaging that the Republicans have fed them. And so they're frustrated economically and financially, and then they're left with the hold on to anything. QAnon, the Republican Party, McCarthy, Trump, all of these things that make them feel better about their white privilege and better about their whiteness, even to the detriment of our democracy, our Constitution, and what we know is righteous and true, and really represents the worst of America, even though what they're being fed in the directive, it talks about patriotism, when it's really just politics and power and racism.
Well, Scott, you reminded me. I met a guy this weekend up in Dalton, Georgia. His name was Henry. He was a self-described toothless redneck. He came over, shook my hand, and wanted to introduce himself as a toothless redneck. That's what he said. He had one bad eye, and so I was explaining to him that the new infrastructure bill.
You had one bad eye.
Yeah, look, he has one bad eye. So I was explaining to him that the new infrastructure bill included dental and vision care being added in on the federal level to Medicare. So Democrats are trying to help him to have teeth and be able to see. He said that this was cultural Marxism and that this is the liberals trying to take over America. So if you have people...
Don't give me nothing. Don't give me nothing.
They will put their political party above being able to chew and see. That means you can't negotiate with them anymore. That means we're too far. We've gone too far now, and we're going to have to find ways to have a political apparatus around those folks.
Yeah, y'all have gone too damn far with this meaningless ass conversation. So you absolutely right. Folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.